Every morning, an alarm pulls you out of sleep. You get dressed, you grab a bag, you walk into a building, you sit at a desk, you wait for someone to tell you what to learn, and you have never once stopped to ask who decided any of this. Who decided that this is what childhood looks like? The answer is not who you think. School feels like it has always existed, but it was invented. Someone at a specific moment in history looked at children and thought, we need a system for this. And the system they built is still running today. Every bell, every row of desks, every subject cut into 40-minute blocks, all of it traces back to real people with real intentions in a world that looked nothing like yours. The earliest version appears in ancient Mesopotamia, roughly 5,000 years ago. The Sumerians had just invented writing, and the moment writing existed, a problem appeared. Someone had to learn it, so they built what they called the Adaba, which means tablet house. Students sat in rows, a teacher stood at the front, there were assignments, exams, and rest days. Archaeologists found clay tablets from students that contained their practice exercises, and in one case, a complaint about being beaten for arriving late. That was not an accident. It was the design. The Adaba was not built for every child. It was built for scribes. The state needed people who could read and write, and it needed them reliable and obedient. You learned exactly what the state needed in the way the state required, and then you went to work for the state. This is the original model. The Greeks expanded it. In Athens, wealthy families hired private tutors. Community spaces became centers of learning. Philosophy, mathematics, rhetoric. Aristotle wrote in his Politics that education must be the concern of the state. Its purpose was not just knowledge, but values. Not just skills, but a certain kind of person. A person who served a certain kind of society. That argument never went away. Rome scaled it. Roman schools trained students for careers in law and politics. A Roman student did not ask what he wanted to be. Society told him. School was the conveyor belt that moved him there. When Rome fell, the church stepped in. For nearly 1,000 years, monasteries and cathedral schools defined what could be learned and what questions could be asked. Then the Reformation cracked everything open. Martin Luther argued that every Christian had to read the Bible directly, without a priest as intermediary. That meant every Christian had to be able to read. In 1524, Luther wrote to German authorities demanding they build schools in every town and village. This was the first serious argument for mass education, for school as something that belongs to everyone. But the true architect of the modern school was a Czech theologian named Johann Amos Comenius. In 1649, he published the Didactica Magna. In it, he laid out a complete system: age-graded classrooms, a standardized curriculum, trained teachers, a fixed timetable. He argued that school should teach everything to everyone. His system could be replicated anywhere, managed, measured, and scaled. He was describing with remarkable precision the school you attended. Then came the Industrial Revolution. Factories needed workers who could follow instructions, arrive on time, and perform repetitive tasks reliably. Governments built compulsory school systems to produce them. Prussia was first. And in 1843, an American educator named Horace Mann traveled there, studied the model, and came home to build the American public school system on the same foundation: mandatory attendance, standardized curriculum, age-graded classrooms, report cards. He is called the father of American public education. The system he built is still, in its fundamental architecture, the system in place today. The bell schedule, the grade levels, the separation of subjects, the teacher at the front, the rows. None of these were accidents. Each was a decision made by someone solving a specific historical problem. The Sumerians needed scribes. The Protestants needed literate believers. The factories needed workers. The modern state needed citizens who could be governed, taxed, and employed. The world that created compulsory schooling no longer exists. The factories are automated. The jobs have transformed. And yet you still sit in rows. You still wait for the bell. You still move subject to subject as if a factory shift were about to start. Every morning, an alarm pulls you out of sleep. You get dressed. You grab a bag. You walk into a building. You sit at a desk. You wait for someone to tell you what to learn. Now you know who decided all of this. You know when. You know what problem they were solving. The only question left, the one Aristotle asked in 350 BC, is whether that system is still solving the right problem, or whether it is answering a question nobody is asking anymore.